Hey class, sorry I'm not there to teach you today. Today we're going to talk about if statements. I'll make this kind of quick and let you guys get started on your classwork and then to see if you can get started on some practice work. We're going to talk about two structures today, an if statement, which we've talked about the last class, and then switch case, which is a new programming structure that we're going to talk about. So first of all, the program that I've written here is just a program that allows you to enter in a day and it prints out a song lyric for that day. And since we're on Thursday, let's go run it a couple times to see if it works. On Thursday, it, there's that. There's the lyric for that day. Run it one more time. Everybody likes Saturday. All right, so you can see that, and if you go through the code here, you'll be able to see each one what it does. And let's enter one that's kind of goofy that isn't an actual day. Let's go March, and then it'll tell. So it does stuff for us. We even have error handling in here, which we haven't talked about. But basically what happens, this is a basic nested if statement that we've got here. So if we take a look at the code, line by line, you should know this. This is when you import your scanner. You have to import that package. Here's the name of our class. Our main method is right here. And then here we are using our scanner. Or we're actually declaring our scanner and birthing it. Right here we're using a out print line to prompt the user for a day of the week, and here we're using a string variable to hold in the next line of scan that we've got. So these on the test, this was the first line for the whenever you use a scanner, first line, second line, third line, and I didn't even follow my own code. I didn't close it, so the fourth line scanner.close is not here. But anyway, here's the first if statement. You entered in an if statement, or entered in a day of the week. And if you take a look at it, when we learned about strings, we learned about this equal ignore case. So you can put in Monday, it can be uppercase, lowercase, it can be any of the letters there can be of different lower or higher cases. So it doesn't matter because it ignores the case, it just looks for the word Monday. And if it goes Monday, it prints out that line of code. And then else, so it's nested now. We have an else, it does something else. We have another if that's nested within the first if, looks if it's Tuesday, else if it's Wednesday, all the way through down. And so this is how nested if statements look. Basically, you have an if statement within an if statement within an if statement within an if statement, so all the way down. Notice that once you're done, all the way down, and you're done with those if statements, you have all these brackets that you have to put in to finish off the code, because if you don't have those, there will be issues. Your code will not run. So that's how basically nested if statements look. Now what you're going to end up doing is, after we're done talking about the switch case statement, I want you to type this out and I want you to see how easy or hard it is. One thing that you're going to find out, you're going to have an error on your code where it's going to ask you about scanning, and I think it might be for the it's a deal with the school computers. It's going to be on it's going to be up here. You're going to really think that you got it right, and you do have it right. You're just going to click on, there's going to be a little red X, click on it, and it'll say update to Java 1.7 or something like that. Double click it and update to JRE 1.7, and your code will work. I don't know what it is with the school computers. But anyway, this is how an if statement works. It just takes your input, what you've put in, and it checks to see where it falls, or what it equals to, and then prints out a statement. So now, switch case, let's take a look at that. The switch case, basically, if we take a look at it, we're taking in, now we haven't talked about it, so let me talk a little bit about it. Switch case is just another way that you can check data, basically. It's kind of like an if statement. The big difference is that with if statements, you can use things like greater than or equal to. You can use Boolean operators, and then you can use conditional operators. So you're checking to see if things greater than, equal to, less than, something and something, something and, or something. There's different criteria that you can check with an if statement. Now with a switch case, you're just checking input. The value of a variable, that's it. So you can't say something like less than, x less than y. You can't really do anything like that. It has to be just what's in the value of x. If something in the value of x, then you're going to go do something. And you'll see what I mean here. So if we take a look at the code here, import java.util star, and then we've done that to get our scanner. There's our scanner. And then here's our prompt, enter the day of the week, and then string day of the week. And then here we are going to take the day of the week that they've entered in. We have to make it uppercase because if we don't do that, people enter in uppercase, lowercase, different variations, and with the switch case, it can only check basically what's in the variable in one state. So if it's uppercase, it has to check to see if it's all uppercase. If it's lowercase, if you put a lowercase and an uppercase, it won't match, is basically what it is. So by forcing this line, you're forcing the user, no matter what they do, to, when they enter it in, it's not forcing it to, but it will automatically make their day of the week uppercase for you. So this line of code, by doing this, makes it all uppercase. So then you use this switch statement, and in parentheses, the name of your variable. Here's the name of your variable that holds the upper day week. And then as you go through, case Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then there's one that's called the default. Let's run this to see how this code looks. All right, enter day of the week, and we'll put in, again, because it's Thursday. Oop, spelled Thursday wrong, so I got wrong song. Let's put Monday in. Monday's easy to spell. I can't spell, sorry. We'll even make it lowercase there. Monday, I don't care if Monday's blue. All right, so it does basically the same thing. And I'll do it one more time just to show you that Thursday, because we're on Thursday, it's going to be, I don't care about you, the same thing as the previous code. But now with this, there's some different things. We talked about the switch. So you have to have that switch, lowercase switch, and then the variable that you're working with. Then what's going to happen is that you have, these are different cases that switch can be. Okay? And notice, all you're doing is checking to see what's in the value of that variable. You're not saying anything about equal, less than, and anything like that. You're just checking to see what's in the value of that variable. So, and you set that value right here, or excuse me, right here with that MyScanNext line. When you type in Monday, day of the week holds the value of Monday, and this line of code right here says Monday is going to equal itself, but you're making it uppercase. So that's what you're doing with that. Okay, so if it's Monday, we'll take a look down. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, it does something. So this right here checks to see what's inside that variable. This right here, when it checks to see what's in that variable, if it's Monday, this is what it does. It prints out that line lyric. And notice this line right here. So break. What that means is that you exit this basic block of code. And a block of code is bracket to bracket. So what happens is when you hit that break, it goes all the way down to the end and you're done. That's finished. So that's a new word that you've learned, break. Also, take a notice of this case, the way it's written. Case, lowercase case, what you expect could be in your variable, and then notice that you've got the colon right there. There's no semicolon, so it's the colon. And then after that, you write whatever lines of code. So you can have multiple lines of code. If you wanted to add other things down, you could do all sorts of stuff on there. You just have to make sure that for each line of code, depending on the code that you're using, it has to have the semicolon. But if you're using if statements, and you can have if statements within switch case statements, that does work. All right. Let me back this up. All right, so, and then just if you follow that outline, it goes through, and it doesn't automatically. So once you hit that break, it exits the code, and it doesn't go and check each one of the other cases. Another thing that you should be noticing is that you have this thing called a default. This is a default case. So what happens is if you enter in something that is not part of what you're expecting the user to put in, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday in our case, it's kind of like an error handler. It checks it and says, oh, sorry, it doesn't work, and that's it. And it also exits the programming structure. The point of this is that many times people enter things in that just break the program. This is kind of like your first introduction to error handling right here. When you use this line, it kind of takes everything in there. It doesn't care what you put in. You could put a number in there. You could put a letter in there, whatever. You could put a symbol in there. It's still going to be saved as a string, but it's not going to be anything that it can see, and then it just says, sorry, wrong song, and away it goes. Again, the point of a switch case, it's just a simple version of a simple version of an if statement that only checks to see the value of what's in a variable. It just checks one thing. If it's something, it does something. If something's in that variable that is a value that you want to check, it does something. The if statement is a little bit more complicated. And we talked about that the previous class because you can use conditional operators or logical operators to check to see if something is greater than, less than, equal to, greater than, equal to, less than, equal to, and then you can check statements that have multiple conditions in them. So if something is less than something and something is not equal to something, you could do something like that, and that's with if statements. All right, what you're going to do now is I want you to you're going to have a handout. And if if the handout doesn't work, you're just going to have I'll give you files in PDF, but I want you to copy the code just as practice to get an idea. You're going to type this code out. And then once you're done with that, you're going to run it. And if it doesn't work, don't worry. You should be able to go through line by line and figure it out. And then what you're going to do is you're going to do the same thing for this. You're going to copy that code, type it all out. And then I want you to think about, and we're going to talk about it when I get back, which was easier, and just any thoughts that you have about each of those statements. But I think it'll be beneficial for you guys because you're going to be able to, some of you are having a little bit of problems with this whole coding thing, and this stuff, here's some examples. This stuff works. I'm not asking you to do it. This stuff should be able to, you should just copy it out and get an idea, pay attention to how it works. All right. All right, I'll see you guys on Monday then.